I appreciated what Steve shared with the children this morning, and that same verse came to my mind, and I thought, I have tasted and I have seen that God is good. And that's what I want to talk to you about and share with you this morning. I'd like to thank you for giving us this opportunity to come and share our testimony of God's goodness. And I just want to give you a little bit of background information. Steve mentioned my name is Henna Rintala. Finnish background, my maiden name was Hevokoski, so it's a little easier now. Paul and I have been married 20 years this summer, and we have 2 children. Katja is 14, going to grade 10, and our son Matti is 12, turning 13 soon, and going to grade 8. I homeschooled my children for 9 years, and last year was the first year they went to school, or real school, public school. On May 23rd, 2008, last year, we were busy building a new home, and we experienced a life-altering event at that time. At the age of 39, I was diagnosed with cancer. And when I received the news, I was actually home with my daughter, Katja, and Paul and Matti were working at the property. When I got the phone call, and it was a phone call when I received the news, I didn't know how I was going to tell my daughter. She was there with me. I knew I had to tell her, and it was very difficult. And that was just the first taste of how God was going to be working and helping me through this journey. Katja came into the kitchen when I got off the phone, and she saw that I was teary-eyed, and I was really trying to, stay calm and hold it all together. And she looked at me and she said, she knew that I had been expecting a phone call from the doctor, and she looked at me and she said, "Mom, is there something wrong with you?" And I just nodded my head. And then she said, "Is it cancer?" And I thought, well, I nodded. And I thought, how did she ever think to ask something like that? We had never, ever, ever discussed cancer, or I hadn't even ever thought of cancer until the doctor told me. But I believe that God was at work, and He was right away showing, you know what, I'm going to help you. Well, as you can imagine, and some of you might even know personally, receiving news like that is extremely difficult, and it brings thoughts of death right away. I asked, or in my thoughts I was asking, okay, how long do I have to live? Will I see my kids grow up? What does the future hold? And I thought, I don't want to die yet. And I don't want to leave my family behind. Now, because of the location of the tumors within my chest cavity, surgery was not an option. So I was looking at a minimum of 6 months of chemotherapy. And immediately I felt like I had this lump in my throat that wouldn't go away. And I really did. It was a large tumor that was pressing on my esophagus. And when I became stressed with the news, the tumor swelled and pressed harder on my esophagus, and it gave me that sensation that there's something stuck there. I also had tumors surrounding my bronchial tubes, which prevented my lungs from draining properly, and so I kept getting bronchitis and a recurring cough. And I also had tumors pressing on my vocal cords, so my voice would, come and go unexplainably, and none of these things ever gave me any hint that, there was something bigger wrong. Well, God quickly took a hold of me. He knew I was trying to deal with this news by myself and in my own strength. The day after I received the news, during my devotions, God led me to Isaiah 41, verse 10. The verse He knew I needed to get through this time of trouble. And it says, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. Yes, I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Wow, it was a verse loaded with promises, and God gave it to me. I memorized it right away, and my daughter printed it out on the computer and posted it everywhere in the house. It became the anchor that I would hold on to during this fierce storm. Now, you might think that that's where my journey with cancer began, but actually it's not. It began 5 months earlier. My sister, Mina, bought me a journal for Christmas, and it's called the Guilt-Free Journal. I don't know if any one of you have kept journals, but you know, you're really good for a while, and then you stop for a while and you feel guilty that you haven't written in there. And this was supposed to alleviate all that. It had verses to read and questions to answer, and so I began writing in this journal in January of 2008. And on January 21st, I read the following verse in my journal. It was 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 9. It says, "No eye has seen, no ear has heard, no mind has conceived what God has prepared for those who love him."